20-something, I'd been fooling around trying to find a job for life and failed. I was supposed to find housing tenants from northeast London, and that became very general because I found that the really difficult thing to do was my actual target, which was 40 new jobs a week. Now that was set personally by the then minister, who had been appointed by Astley.
Well, we obviously applied to Dagenham Council when we were thinking of getting married, and they said yes, that's fine, you can go on the waiting list. It's about 20 years at the moment. So he had some further thoughts, and my older brother Alan had arrived in Harlow in 1955, March, and opened the Stowe Library. So I was a frequent visitor to Harlow, very impressed with the town and determined to try and get a job. So I kept applying for jobs, applied to the Development Corporation for housing vacancies, and in May following year, 1956, I was accepted by Cliff Jackman to become one of his staff as a housing assistant.
So where did you first live?
We first lived at Northbrooks. When I was interviewed by...
Came in 1951 with my parents, who were from the East End of London, who had been blitzed out in the war. Their families had relocated to the edge of London. They married, were living in one room in Ilford, outside toilets, no facilities. Father had a good job at Briggs, now part of Ford Motor Company. There I was 2, and to get a new house, 3-bedroom, inside toilets, bathrooms, green fields. My parents gave up a lot to move to Harlow. Father went on the building. We were in Tainesdale, where in our block of 18 houses, I think 17 were in the building trade originally. One person had a car. There was green fields, delighted.
I came to Harlow because we didn't stand an earthly to get a place in Tottenham where I lived when I got married, because I was only in one room. Came down here, my brother came to my mother's house on a Saturday, and he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, we can't get a place." I'd have got one boy then. No, I'd got 2, sorry. My boy was about 5 and I had a baby of 6 months. And he said, "Come down to Harlow." His wife didn't know. We jumped in his van. We came down. He lives at Tilbury Mead, and they put us up. My husband got a job at AEI, and that was in the August. And in the January we got our house in Carter's Mead, and I thought it was a palace.
I came here in 1966, and I came in with my dad, and mum and dad. We used to work in London for BP, British Petroleum, and when they built the factory up in Pinnacles, and the big office block there, he was asked if he wanted to move from Tottenham, where we lived, and go up there and get a house in Harlow and all that. And that's what he done. I would get married and have a family, and I'd rather have that family grow up in a place like this than grow up in London. And that's my reason, really. I thought this was a much better place and to bring up children, if it ever happened, you know, if I had children, which I did. And I thought it would be a much better place to live, you know.
We moved to Harlow in 1981, and the reason was that I'd got a job here in 1980, mid-80, as a photographer working with what was then STL. It's the labs on London Road, which became Nortel, and of course now is the site of the Enterprise Zone. Everywhere was obviously planned out. In London, buildings, developments are very organic, so you get a whole hodgepodge of different types of architecture together. Roads just off of high roads, you don't have that here. It's, you know, we had the hatches in the town centre, so it felt very planned and very different. The green wedges obviously were a real change, and so there was greenery everywhere, so that was good. I think one of the other things which I noticed quite soon, or we both did, was there was this sense of a bit more of a unified community, and I think that was partly just because it was bounded by countryside, so there was a natural geographical barrier around the town, whereas in London everything tends to bleed into everything else, really.
I came to Harlow in April 1974. I came from a little village called Belchford in Lincolnshire, which is near a town called Horncastle, near Louth. You might have heard of that. I was 6. I came with my mum, who redeployed as a teacher, and in those days you got a house with a job. So she got a 4-bedroom house in Old Harlow, which was one of the townhouses at the bottom of the high street. And we came with my brother, my sister. My brother must have been about 18, and Harlow was really good because you could access different colleges, different routes of employment, and he went off to Pi Unicam in Ware to do radio and TV technician, which they probably don't do anymore. But he used to go off there every day. My sister went to sixth form in Herts and Essex, Bishop Stortford, so it's all very accessible from Old Harlow. And my mum got a job as a teacher in Peterswood Infant School, where she worked for about 17 years.
I came to Harlow in 1987 due to a big World Jiu-Jitsu Federation come together in Harlow Sports Centre. We were 1,100 students on the mat, and Harlow at that time was a well-known town for sports facility, and we had a great time.
So it was 1988? Did you
No,
say?
1987,
1987.
In October.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'd come from which town and which country?
Well, I came from Denmark with the Danish Jiu-Jitsu group. I was the head of World Jiu-Jitsu Federation in Denmark at that time. And we then, together with the Swedish delegation, come to Harlow, and we stayed at the Churchgate Manor Hotel. Didn't have a permanent work as such. I worked in a supermarket, but that was purely to improve my spoken English. And that took me a few years. And then in 1990, I was employed by the Royal Mail as a postman in Harlow.
And did you enjoy doing that?
Fantastic job. Walking the street, getting fit while you were working, putting letters in Peter's letter. You couldn't ask for a better job.
Came over here on the 1st of July 1985, so that's 32 years ago. I came from Gibraltar, which is a British colony, and obviously there's been links with the UK throughout my upbringing, but my wife Julie is from Harlow, and we basically came over here just for a couple of years to do some training and then probably go back to the Sun Sea and the Mediterranean. And 32 years later, nearly, I'm still here.
So was it like a job ad that you saw? Or was it
No, it was just trying to do something different.
Yeah.
And coming over to, we had one son at the time who was a baby, and it was just sharing the family, but also coming over here and doing a few bits. Gibraltar's lovely, but it's quite small to me. Coming to Harlow, coming to the UK was just expanding my horizons and being...
I came to Harlow in the year 2004, so I've been in the trust for 14 years now.
All right, and so how did you... Tell me about your journey, because I believe you're from India.
I am from India, and I have been, I've educated, I've studied back in India, and then after that, I went, I worked in Mumbai, Lilavati Hospital, one of the multi-speciality hospital. After that, I got the opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia, so there I have got more experience, and I had the urge to learn more things. So I went back to India, took another management post, and then after that, I came to UK in 2004. I was keen to learn more and to find out new things, new places, and new technologies and things, because in Saudi Arabia we had the latest technologies, and then I thought, let me study further, progress further in life. So that is why I came. My dad had a vision that I need to be a servant so that I could serve the people, and I was not initially prepared, but choosing nursing career was one of the best things I did in my life.
I came in 2008, August.
Primarily, we were looking for a place to have a family, a family-focused town. My wife found a job here. I didn't work too far away from Harlow. We've got the transport links and everything else, and find that it had everything that we needed as a family. So we've got a hospital. Obviously, we were looking at having children, so a good maternity unit. We've got plenty of schools here. Work. I work in transport, have done for the last 20 years on and off. Harlow is one of the major strategic transport hubs of the country. This area is very important. And then my wife, of course, she found a place to work. It's perfect for her.
Well, I met my husband in 2007 in Afghanistan. I was driving trucks in the logistics corps and he was in the RAF. So we met in the August, and then he finished his tour, and then after I finished my tour, then I came over here, met up with him, met his family, and then we got engaged in October, and then we got married in the army barracks in Belfast in the following April after he came back from a tour that he was in Qatar. Well, when I came into Harlow, I liked the open spaces. Where his mum and dad lived, it was right beside the forest, so you went into the forest, Teletubby Hill, there's there's a lot, there's the sculptures around Harlow, there's good schools in Harlow, but obviously at that time I didn't actually think about the schools because I didn't have any children, but the people in Harlow, there's lovely people in Harlow, got good friends.
I came in March 2012, and I came because I had an opportunity to move anywhere I wanted. So
why did you choose Harlow?
Because, I had a few options. I either go over the bridge and move into Kent.
So when you say over the bridge, I think we should start as, where were you living?
I lived in Thurrock. So yeah, I could either go over to the Dartford side of the bridge, but that means travel every day, and then when that goes wrong, travel's terrible, or use the ferry, or I could go to Basildon area, which I sort of didn't really fancy, and then the next stop along the motorway is Harlow, with an easy connection, so that's where I am here.
And that's 2012, and now 5 years later you're still here?
Yes.
So why have you stayed?
It's lovely. It's got open space, it's got the river if you want to walk down it, it's got shops that aren't too busy but they're alright, they've got everything I need, and it's quiet. There's there is industry, but it's not in your face and on your doorstep. There's loads of green.
Well, first of all, it's because me and Nikki both lived in London, and we wanted to raise our family, begin our family, and we found a house in Harlow affordable, but also nice size as well. So you got a lot of bricks for your money. So we could afford a 3-bedroom house, which we couldn't afford over in London. Then when we came out here, we noticed we saw the green spaces, we saw the facilities that were here. There was a lovely town centre, there was lovely schools, and it was relatively easy to get around. Our neighbours are fantastic, they're wonderful. We get on really well with them, and we feel like a small little community, whereby we kind of look out for one another. We look out for each other's children, or people look out after our Sam as well. And to be honest, it's accessible. And I feel that even though we live in a town, we don't really live in a town because we're on the outskirts. 5 minutes, we have Harlow Common. We can just walk over there, and we can go into the forest. We can look for the deer. To be honest, this is very much our home. This is very much our home. And I actually struggle to remember how our life was like whilst living in London, because now it just seems this is who we are now. Harlow is very much a part of us.